guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new entitled people content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
First one is titled, "We're an auto repair shop, not a babysitting service." I'm a mechanic by trade and have been for the past 15 years, but last week was the first time I've ever seen this level of entitlement. So I thought it belonged here. Never thought I'd actually get a story worthy enough to put here. Obviously, in the shop we see a lot of people trying to haggle and devaluing our skills. That's pretty stock standard kind of stuff for us. If you know, you know type. Pretty regular Tuesday. I didn't have a specific job posting for the day, so was helping out the front with appraisal. Out back with things that didn't take much time, pretty normal when the boss just wants an extra pair of hands to help with miscellaneous stuff. I'm basically the two I see here. I didn't see her come in, but a good workmate of mine did, and apparently she was fairly normal. Dropped off her car for general maintenance. Hit her mileage. Awesome. Easy job. Boss called me out to move her car from the front car park to out the back. I got busy talking with a different customer in the waiting room on my way through to get the keys. So it took me 15 minutes give or take to even get to the car, which is usually no biggie. The customer was long gone by the time I got to the car, which is the point here. But of course, this wouldn't be entitled parents if that was all. I grabbed the keys from the reception and head on out to move this car. Now, it's not a hot day, but warm enough that I'm not wearing a jacket in a place that is pretty cold this time of year. I get there, open the driver's door, and I'm met with a child in the back. This kid jump-scared me. She was buckled into her booster seat and just sitting there looking at me. She was maybe 4, give or take. Not old enough to leave in a car alone, that's for sure. I didn't even know what to say to her and nearly ran back into reception. They had no idea she was in there either, and Jenny, name changed, took her out of the car and brought her in. There's a coffee machine in the waiting room that also serves hot chocolate, and she got one for the kid and sat her down near her. We were both baffled as to why this woman had left her with us. I matched the number plate to the phone number and called her back while Jenny entertained her. She didn't pick up any of the 9 times I called. I checked my phone record just now to make sure I really did do that many. In the end, I took the car out the back for the boys to look over. Just over an hour later, she came waltzing through the door, asking if her car was done yet. I couldn't believe the audacity she had. I'm paraphrasing here, but essentially, I asked her why she left her child with us, and she said she meant to, that she needed time to herself, and that we should be grateful because she's a wonderful child. If she's so wonderful, why the hell did you need to make us your babysitters? The shop is not the right place for a child to be, especially seeing as none of us really had the resources to look after a child. I told her she was lucky we didn't call the police on an abandoned child. At this point, my boss, who had been informed of the situation but was in a meeting with a potential buyer, came out to deal with her. After hearing out altercation, he relieved me and Jenny of our babysitting duties to go on lunch break. From what he told us after, she's banned for life from the shop, and she defended her choice to leave the kid with us. I didn't think there were really nutters like this in real life, but I tell you what, this past week has changed my mind. Next one is titled, "Bit off more than he could chew." I actually joined Reddit because of some family stories, but I haven't worked up the nerve to post the hurtful stuff yet. I thought I'd post a funny one and see how it goes. I was not there, but this was the story as told. My uncle, technically mom's uncle, but we all call him Matt, is a veteran. He lost a leg in the Marines and had to get a replacement. He didn't like the way the plain rods felt/looked, so he had one that looked more like a real leg. When he wore long pants, you couldn't tell he'd been wounded, except for a slight limp. He calls it his robot leg. We live in a tiny town with a tiny town store. There's this kid who's there a lot, and his favorite thing is to bite people while they're waiting in line. I think he must be related to the people who own the place, but he's a pain in the butt, and they don't do anything about him. He's like 6, so way too old to be biting people. So, my uncle is in town and goes to the store to get candy because he always brings candy when he visits. He's in line, and Bitey McBitefface starts his usual thing of annoying people, and then biting them when they won't give him what he wants. My uncle's watching and waiting for someone to stop him, but no one does. Uncle gets near the front of the line, and the kid comes up to him. I guess he wanted the candy, and Uncle told him no. Bitey doesn't like this, so he walks off, sneaks up behind my uncle and Champi, tries to bite that solid resin leg. Then he runs off screaming. Uncle laughs, people in line laugh, and the kid's probably on his way to the dentist. Next one is titled, How I Stopped Talking to Entitled Sister. Since my first story of my entitled sister did pretty good, I thought I would share why we are NC. Last April, my little sister, 33 female, called to ask me if I would take care of her boys, 2, 8, 12 over Memorial Weekend. She wanted to go camping, and since I haven't seen them since the pandemic started, I agreed. It would involve me driving the 4 hours to their house and driving back with them. They would stay at my house for 4 days and I would meet her halfway to take them home. I would cover all expenses and it wouldn't cost her a dime. They are good boys and I enjoy spending time with them. The only thing I asked her for is for her to take a COVID test to make sure it would be safe. Just her, not the boys and certainly not the toddler. I have a young child that is super high risk and we have taken every precaution imaginable to protect her. I'd even stopped working and started homeschooled her. She was a micro-preemie and has damaged lungs from being incubated at birth for several weeks. So for her to catch COVID would be extremely dangerous. My sister lost her temper and said that there was no way she would ever do that for me. If that was the only way I would watch the kids, then she will find someone else. We hung up and I thought about it all night and called her the next day just to chat. I told her that she hurt my feelings and I felt that she doesn't care about the safety of my child as much as she cares about an adult camping trip. To which she replied that I have mental health issues and I probably need to see a therapist. Basically gaslighting me for over an hour, saying that the survival rate is 99% and it isn't a big deal if my child catches it. Her exact words were, "I'm not about to ruin 2 weeks of my life if the test comes out positive." Then when I responded with asking if she would really put my daughter at risk for a camping trip, she literally said, "I am way more educated than you are. I know what I'm talking about." There was nothing else to say, so we hung up, and that was the last time I spoke to her. Next one is titled, Entitled Karen Tries to Leave Her 3 Kids at Our Toy Store While She Gets a Haircut. I work in a small mom-and-pop toy store. We get lots of little kids in our store, some more well-behaved than others. But recently I had to deal with 3 brats and a Karen. It was a slow day, so I was in back doing inventory when all of a sudden I hear a crash come from the front of the store. I get there and there's 3 kids there, unattended, and one of them had knocked over a shelf. They're lucky that no one got hurt. Apparently the kid wanted the toy at the top, so he decided to Tarzan his way to the top. I ask the kids where their parents are, and the oldest says that his mom went to get her hair done across the street. She left her kids in the toy store while she got her hair done. My manager comes out and sees the destruction these kids have brought onto our store. He tells me to watch the kids while he goes across the street to get their mom. He goes across the street, and I can see him yelling at the mom through the salon's window. He leaves the salon with the Karen following him, screaming and cursing. She didn't like that my manager threatened to call the police and CPS on her for abandoning her kids. She also didn't like when my manager demanded she pay for the damaged toys and damaged shelf. But my manager had her. He demanded that she pay or he would call CPS and the police for child abandonment and endangerment. Karen begrudgingly paid the $800 required to fix the shelf and replace the couple of damaged toys. Next one is titled, I Met My First Karen Today. I had to return something from Amazon to a store today. Not a big deal, as I was out and about anyway. Massive parking lot because there are a lot of huge stores that share, like a certain club. I was expecting to have to drive around to find a spot, but I got lucky and see a car up ahead of me, 3rd spot from the end, with its backup lights on. I drive up to it, I get in position, flip on the turn signal, guy pulls out, I go to pull in. Just then, this woman turns into the aisle blaring her horn at me while flashing her lights. I ignore her and pull in, park, get out, and she's yelling out of her window, saying she saw the spot first, how I'm an a-hole for stealing her spot, etc., etc. I shake my head and just walk into the store to do what I need to do. It gets better. As I'm waiting in line to return my item, she catches up to me, starts yelling at me again. I continue to ignore. I really was not in the mood to deal with her crap, so I didn't take the bait because I really didn't want to make matters worse. I basically said, whatever, leave me alone. She then begins to poke me in the back because I won't turn face her. Now I will readily admit I'm a hothead sometimes. I can really blow my lid at times, but I kept my cool. I barely moved to look at her and said very loudly and very sternly, "Stop effing poking me." She continues to yell, but is finally interrupted by a store employee who intercedes. Bunch of back and forth, her accusing me of stealing her spot and so on. Finally, the employee gets her to shut up and he turns to me. He asks if I wanted to press assault charges. She turned ashen white when I said yes because I had enough of her. It was worth the extra hour plus, watching video of her yelling, filling out forms, etc. to watch her eventually taken away in cuffs. All because of a frickin' parking spot. At least I got my item returned and the whiskey sour I had this evening was even sweeter. Next one is titled, "No Karen, the strollers next to the rides at the amusement park are not free." With COVID restrictions lifting, I was finally able to take my kids out for a day at the local kiddie amusement park. They have mostly rides for little kids, including my boy's favorite, a small kiddie coaster. They have a spot for parents to leave their strollers next to the ride. My youngest is finally old enough and tall enough to ride the small kiddie coaster, but still too young to spend a whole day walking around the park, so sometimes he needs the stroller to take a break. I park my stroller, which also has all of my snacks for the boys, at the entrance of the ride, and the three of us get on the kiddie coaster. As we are getting off the ride, I see this woman go towards the stroller area and grab my stroller. She starts walking off with it and her kid when I confront her. I say, "Hey, that's my stroller." She says, "No, it's not. These strollers are free." I say, "No, they are not. That stroller is mine. Give it back." She says, "No, this stroller is mine now. The park puts them out here for parents to borrow. Get your own free stroller." Getting angry at this point, I say, "Ma'am, that is my stroller." I grab the stroller and yank it out of her grasp. She starts screaming, "Security, security." Now a big burly security guard comes running up and asks, "What's the matter here?" Karen says, "This woman stole my stroller." The security guard starts looking at me and I can tell that things are about to go bad for me. I say, "That's my stroller and I can prove it." The security guard says, "Okay, ma'am, show me proof this is your stroller." I go to the bottom of the stroller, where luckily my husband had the idea to write my last name on the bottom. I say, "See, that is my last name and this is my stroller." At this point, the security guard asks to see my ID to verify, which I provide. Karen starts screeching, "The strollers are free, give it back." The security guard tells Karen to calm down or she will be removed from the park. This gets her attention. The security guard lets me walk off with my boys and my stroller. Later I see Karen in line for another ride and she flips me off right in front of the whole park. Now my youngest has a new favorite hand gesture that he shows off whenever he feels like it. Thanks, Karen. Last one is titled, "Wild Karen Attacks in the Highway." I'm a biker, but I'm not in a club or something. I usually ride alone most part of the time. A few months ago I was driving on my way to the Camp Sherman with a few boys for the birthday of one of us. Near the Sanchim Junction a car ran in front of me and I saw this lady moving her hands and yelling something. And then she told me to slow down. So I did, and her started to yelling crap about how I drive and I was about to kill her. I defended myself saying she didn't slow down near the conjunction. And this situation escalated so fast. Both of us parked. Some boys were ahead of me so they didn't notice I was arguing with the lady. But at some point she noticed something in my accent. She said, "Oh my God, are you Mexican?" I just said, "Excuse me, ma'am, is that a problem?" She went crazy like a monkey and started to say crap about how I must return to my country and how I don't deserve to own a bike or have a job. Man, that was a wacky situation. I was about to wheeze when this witch tried to take the keys of my bike. I instantly pulled her back. She didn't fall on the ground. Oh, bow, that was a bad move. She went even more crazy. But other folks quickly came. We were 5 guys, 2 on the front, me on the middle, and 2 behind. We parted after buying fuel. When the lady saw she was outnumbered, she got back on her car and drove away. Thanks for listening.